everyone, welcome back to Go Play. My name is Sue, this is Syazwan, Lucas and Hashi. Today we're talking about how do we discipline children. So guys, were you like whacked when you were a kid?
As a former child, yes. As a former child, I was whacked a lot. But honestly, listening to all of my other friends, right, they were so funny about being whacked.
We're Asians, right?
Yeah, we're Asians.
Yeah.
Whacking is part of our life.
It's normal.
But honestly, when I listen to like all my other friends, right, they kena whack even worse than me lah. So I'm counting my blessings. But I guess at the center depends on your weapon. Because my mom used to have the entire bamboo pole whack inside the toilet one time.
Like the clothing.
Yeah, you know when you put outside. Yeah. So my mom used to. I remember this one time when she was trying to discipline me. I was inside the toilet, I think a little too long. I don't even know the time. I was like, primary one. I was just playing with my comfort taxi toy inside the bathtub. And then I was just imagining a tsunami scene. So I just keep on splashing water and water and water. Oh, and suddenly my mom just opened the door with an entire bamboo pole and whacked me.
But why? Why does it warrant a whacking?
I mean, to be fair, when I look back, right, I had my tap running for probably an hour. So,
Stop it. Get some help.
The question is no.
Justified.
Did she warn you first before she actually resolved to like?
the only warning was open the door, that's it.
See, then
She didn't even say like what's wrong with you, like what did you do wrong that she has to like whack you.
yeah, or I told you to stop the tap, first, and then second warning, then maybe whack.
Okay, time to give some benefit of the doubt. Maybe when I was showering, the water was too loud, so I couldn't hear her shouting from the kitchen.
Oh, you're already in your own world.
I was
You're already in the old world.
I was reenacting the flooding scene in the toilet. I was supposed to pay attention to my surroundings. Yeah, so that was the way for her to.
So she thought you were being rude. Is it?
being rude.
Wasting water.
It's very difficult. I think for me, the main message is don't waste water.
Okay,
Okay.
nice.
Fair enough,
Then you?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, for me, I remember one time when I was in primary 5, I pierced my ears like 3 holes here.
Primary
Primary 5, yeah.
Problems,
I got
this
an
one.
alien friend. Okay, I got an
Alien
alien
friend.
friend. I was
Primary
influenced
5.
by her. So yeah, really. Primary 5, I pierced my ears, and then my mom got to know, and then I kena like she pierced my ears, like she twisted my ears.
Okay.
Until like it's super red,
Yeah.
and then she said if you do like stupid things, right, I will botak your hair. Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck? I
Your
scared.
hair.
Yeah, she says
Wait, do you
because
still have it or you?
no lah, close already. So she said if you,
Hey, primary 5.
Yeah.
I mean, they are primary
40
5
years
kids
ago.
with
I will cut your hair
the
botak
neon
if
color
you-
sticks there in my school.
I cannot. My mom don't let me, so I'm like, okay lor. I don't want my hair to be botak, right? I'm scared yeah. Then
So
my
you just close it.
yeah, I just close it all. Yeah, that was one of the memories that I remembered. Like the worst. That one really
At least she didn't threaten to use a whole punch to make it bigger.
No. She said she was to drill my ears.
Okay, what's okay? I don't
She
know.
said, I drill your ear. You want so many holes, right? I drill one big hole in your ears, and then you put like the beard.
Hang You hang the giant
Yeah.
weights, right?
Tip
She
of
scared me lah.
like a childhood rebel. If your parents say that, right, say okay lah, come lah, drill lah, come, you drill. I call police, child abuse.
So this is actually the topic now, you see. Because when we want to discipline the kids as how we went through, it's definitely child abuse now in today's context. So,
but don't drill your kids.
okay lah, drilling is different
Like,
lah.
child abuse lah, right? Come lah.
I mean, it's a threaten. They use that threaten to scare us so that we don't repeat the same mistake.
Yeah.
But as a child, of course, I will believe it.
But that's out of fear. But that's not out of like. I don't feel like that comes from a place of like heart. But it's out of fear. That's what the parents used to instill, which is the fear. Which I guess it works when you're like slightly younger, but as you grow up,
But I
it
mean,
no longer
threatening your
works.
parents to call child support is
I mean,
also
come
kinda
on, like you
definitely
want.
not out of
Very
love.
awkward.
Definitely not out of love.
But the thing is, you won't because your parents won't also what. So I mean, these are just one of the little tricks. But don't follow me now. But I turn out to be a decent human being. So
In the words of my mom, I brought you into this world, I can take you out.
As long as you're staying in my
Yes.
house.
Yes.
As long as you're staying in my house.
how about you? How about you?
I was brought up in a pretty strict household. But so when I was a kid, I was very energetic. I'm still very energetic. So the energy had to be channeled somewhere. And most of the time, it was not to a very productive place. Let's just put it that way. Okay, I was running rampant, and my my dad is not like your mom, I guess. What he say, he will do.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I remember once. So when I was a kid, I really love specific toys. So when we go to Toys R Us, but my parents don't buy toys. They don't believe in buying toys, which is fair. It becomes a waste in the house. It takes up space, and so now as I grow older, I really understand where they're coming from. So I was just on the aisle in Toys R Us, crying like I really wanted it. I don't know why that day I decided to put a show.
How old
So-
are you?
5, 6. So my dad was like, okay, you're crying for no reason. So let me give you a reason to cry.
Oh.
And then, boom, 2 seconds. He's like, 2.
Where?
And then he said, now you can cry. Because I give you a reason. Now you can cry. So he let me cry. So after that I can cry. So I mean, when I was going through it, I held no resentment to him. As I grow older, in fact, I sympathize with him. Like, I totally understand where he was coming from. Like, if my kid was just crying for no reason, I mean, you gotta shut him up, man. I was making a big scene lah. So as I grow older, I realized I think they did the right thing lah. If not, my energy would have just been, I think I would have turned out pretty messed up lah.
For me, like personally, I hate violence, so I wouldn't use that method to discipline my future child. Because like, especially kids nowadays, it's not like us. You know, some kids, the more you shout at them, the more you hit them, the more they will become rebellious. So I think it depends on how their reaction is. You see, some kids, like if you talk to them nicely, they would listen. Yeah. So for me, I wouldn't use like violence to my future child. I wouldn't.
And I grew up in quite a violent household. That's why I also ended up having a lot of tricks in my bags to like retaliate or protect myself. It's because I witnessed violence and also like personally, like not to a huge extent, but also experienced violence. So that's one of the things I always constantly remind myself is not to be like how I was treated when I was a child, or what the things that I've witnessed as a child. So I think if I ever become a parent, this is a big no-no. It's not using the violence. But the truth is, we always say that, right? How we want to treat our child better and stuff. But we still have this little, like, this childhood trauma that I feel like it resurfaces when we become parents ourselves. So I can say it's a big no-no, but what if, I'm also that kind of parents, and that scares me to the point that maybe I don't want children.
I think eventually this is a question of intergenerational trauma. Whether or not the way we are disciplined is a way of life from our ancestors. So it could actually be like how for them this has always been the way, and this is the result. So for our parents, it's like my mom has worked me to the extent that I became a righteous person. So I can now infer safely that there is evidence that because my mom raised me up this way through these acts of violence, then therefore if I do this to my children, they will end up just like me, to be safe. But the thing is, right now, when we really think about whacking children nowadays, honestly it could be a little bit too extreme lah. But at the same time, I still feel like for me as a parent, as controversial and as bold as this is gonna be, I still feel like when the situation warrants it, they will need to be disciplined. Because in my perspective, when I look at kids nowadays always screaming and yelling in public, but the parents are not doing anything. I just feel like,
I think the parents are more scared of their children than the children scared of them.
yeah, that's the thing. If you're too scared, your kids don't have kids.
And it's that because we probably don't have other methods of disciplining our kids, because last time the default is just to cane the kids or whack or even just throw things at them. But now because you can't do that, then the parents are like, what do I do? But recently I came across this post where it talks about how you treat your child rather as like somebody that has no brain, but someone who is capable of their own thoughts and thought process. Then that really hits me, because I'm pretty sure there are ways to talk into your children without using violence and threats.
Okay, so for me, so even though I was not spared the rod, I feel what my parents did very well was there was always an explanation, like as to why certain punishments had to be executed, and it was never in a place of anger. Like I know that they were in control, Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was never out of like rage. So it was not a rage beating or anything, you know? It's always very controlled. Like, almost like the jurisdictory like system. There's like, you do this, it's equal this amount. It's standard. I can stare at the wall for like 3 hours, but I deserve it. So at the end of the day, when I'm standing there, I know what I did. This plus this equals this. So I kind of know exactly what was going on. And I do teach kids at primary school to secondary school level. And you can tell which kid has not been hit.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell. Like, straight up, it's so obvious.
The spoiled one.
Like, not just spoiled, like, you can tell. Like, you just keep telling your kids to just, guys, talking, come listen to me. And then kid just goes on and all. Like, they are really, yeah, you can tell. You know that saying, like, that person never wet, gonna wet before. And you can tell, especially with kids, if they have not been brought up in a certain way. I mean, it's not the only way. I'm sure there are some parents who are amazing at using other forms of motivation, but I guess every child reacts to different things. You know,
Yeah.
some like the stick, some like the carrot. So it depends on how you know the carrot and stick ones.
Yeah.
So it depends.
That speaks to me because I've been at the receiving end of getting punished, but the reason is being like given. So like my grandma used to have different like thickness of bamboo sticks, because back in our house in Myanmar we used to have bamboos at our backyard. So she asked the workers to like make bamboo sticks from scratch with different length and thickness according to the severity of the punishment or things that I've done. But I've only been whacked like once or twice. But that was being laid out right next to the wall, so you can always see them. And that itself, right? That's the side of it always like keeps me in check most of the time. But there are also times by several other family members that I just get like slapped in my face or just like, you know, like throw things at or just hit. Those traumatized me. So like those when I was being told why I was hit, didn't. But those that were unwarranted violence, yeah, like if I even think about it nowadays, I love my parents and stuff, but like it makes me really like sad. Like
For me, I don't think it works. Especially for like Asian, because I think we are more angry. You know, especially like my parents. Like I don't think if they were to use that method to me, I don't think it will work.
I think it does because it has a process also, right? You have to tell the child as to what they did wrong and what they should reflect on, and give them the space to reflect on it. Maybe because like Asians, right? Like you did terrible thing, you get out of my face. You know, that kind of attitude without explaining as like your parents why you did wrong and why this warranted punishment. So if you were to go through these steps of explaining why, and then therefore you have to reflect, and then after that, then maybe there is an aftercare, which is, you know, like what have you learned from this, and will you do it again? Then maybe it works out.
Yeah, the aftercare to me is the most important. Imagine you just send them to the corner, they just sit there, reflect for 3 hours, and then you never follow up with them. Who knows what's inside their mind?
Maybe just like scheming.
Can you reflect like, okay, tomorrow I shall run the water a little bit more longer, but this time I got a weapon with me. Yeah.
We're gonna put you in the old folks home.
You do this now, tomorrow Jamia, I tell you. Yeah, so again, this is true. Aftercare is the most important. You can punish them all, but it's your reflection, because reflection is the only way that you learn from the mistakes. So if you want your kids to learn from the mistake, that's how you do it, you aftercare. Don't just leave them in the corner and then before you know it, you wake up the next day, hey, you still there? Okay, huh?
Now that you mentioned this, I remember one time I was made to stay at the corner. Then my parents left the house, so I didn't get to go on the family outing.
Oh, no.
So while I was standing in the corner, but obviously I don't have to stand there because no one was home.
Yeah.
I went to take the cane and threw it down the window. 10 stories.
See, that's why aftercare is important. Parents, do your job for work.
Because I knew he was going to come already.
I think communication is also very important. And I think as parents, I think it's very important for you to show good examples to your kid, because you are the reflection of them. Like you are their first teacher, you are their, whatever you say, they will follow.
Yeah.
So if you show bad example and they learn from you, then who is to be blamed, them or you?
Yeah.
You know? So I think as parents, the most important thing is you have to show a good example to them. Yeah. I mean, if it doesn't follow, then something is wrong lah.
Okay, so how will you discipline your hypothetical child? Tell us in the comments. Thanks for watching.
Say people, say yourself, bold perspective.
Like and share this video and follow us on Instagram and YouTube.
New videos every Friday.
Bye.